Greetings one and all, Silas Vox at your service. The scope of this video will be to describe some of the tools that I use in my Enochian Vision Magic. I'm aware that some that see this may have never even experienced the system of magic before and have no idea what goes into it. And in the video you don't really see what's on the table because I cover it with a cloth as you're supposed to do. So let me show you the table. Here what I've done is I've taken a plastic folding table and I painted it black, and then painstakingly, with the assistance of some painter's tape and patience, have recreated the table. Now, in almost all the literature I've read, the table is in black and white. There's no color. But I did see some interesting recreations that were on Etsy, and this is kind of inspired by that, to where we've got the triangles of both air and water. And then I've done the lettering in gold and most of the lines in silver. I tried using silver metallic paint, and let me go ahead and just, if you plan on recreating anything like this, let me just assist you by saying do not do that. Use a silver Sharpie, and the lettering I did with the gold Sharpie. It's so much easier and better to work with than metallic paint. So that's the table. Now, in the center of the table, we have the Sigillum de Ameth. This is a wax reproduction that I also purchased. Again, I've made all of this before on paper, and I think that's important to do. It's suggested that you do that in order to kind of imprint all these different tools onto your psyche. Having created them myself, though, I was quite content to be able to purchase some of these things for myself. Now, I didn't take pictures of these, but under the legs of the table, we have the same Sigillum de Ameth, but there's 4 smaller ones that go underneath the legs of the table. I have them encased in glass with the plastic covering. So the Sigillum sits in the center of the table, and then those smaller ones are positioned beneath the legs of the table. So the table is actually just sitting on the Sigillum, not on the ground. Let's see. In addition to the Sigillum de Ameth on the table, we have several ensigns of creation. I didn't photograph all of them, but I'll show you a picture of the table with all of them on there. This is just an example. Now, admittedly, this is rather crudely done. I did these pretty quickly, but they still function as they should. The first ones that I'd created on paper were very painstakingly done and meticulous, but they were all white, and I wanted to add some color. And honestly, I just wanted to see if they needed to be perfect in order to work, and it turns out they do not. So this is the table as it's set up with the 7 ensigns of creation stationed around the Sigillum de Ameth, which itself sits in the center of the table. Excellent. Now, in addition to this, I have a couple other pieces that I'm not sure are necessary, but I had them before when I did this, so I went ahead and got them again. Like this, for instance, the round tablet of Nalvaj. I purchased this on Etsy. This is a laser etched in wood. I really don't know the specific purpose of this tablet, but I have it because it's a part of the system. I've never used it in any of the ceremonies. I've never seen an instance where it's called to be used. So it's a puzzlement to me. I'm sure with a little more research I can determine exactly what it is and why it's necessary, but for now I just kind of keep it around. So let me show you some of the other things. This is my wand. Again, Etsy is a great place to find all this stuff. This is bocote wood. I picked it just because the seller says that it's good for oculomancy and things like that. It's not really what I'm doing, although I did attempt to initially do this with the scrying mirror, so I guess it did have some of that involved. This is the ring. You see me hold it up in the video when I'm doing the prayer. This is on Amazon, shipped from China, super cheap. There are gold ones that you can buy on Etsy that are a couple of $100s. If you've got the coin and you really want a gold ring, go ahead and do it. I mean, that is what it calls for, but again, I did this with paper. I don't think it matters that it's silver. It still works for me. Now this is the layman, again, purchased on Etsy. You can find it if you want it. This is actually pretty cheap and incredibly well done. The one that I had made for myself, I had the Enochian lettering on one side and I had the English lettering on the other. This one only has the Enochian, and I'm totally fine with that because everything that I use now has the Enochian. Like my tablets. First time I made these, I did them in English. I had all the elemental and astrological significances on each square, and it took a long time to do. This itself was no mean feat. This is about 17 hours of work. But I translated the tablets from the English lettering into Enochian. I hadn't seen them done that way before, and the texts that I'd read, they were all in English, but it just felt right to me to do it in Enochian. So I use the revised tablets. There are two different ones: the initial ones that were received by Dee and Kelly, and then the revised ones in which the entities with whom they were communicating said that there were some things that needed to be switched, so they switched them. I used the revised version. It just feels right to me, but again, follow your heart. So beginning in the lower left-hand corner, we have earth, above that air, to the right of that water, and then down below that fire. And within each tablet, there is an earth, air, water, and fire section. Now, the colors in which I've done the letters mirror that. For more information on this, though, you're going to have to consult some books, because this is beyond the scope of my explanation. Now, books I recommend for this would definitely be Lon Milo Duquette's Enochian Vision Magick. There are a couple others I have on the Enochian language itself, but that's for the serious scholar. If you really want to get into like the grammar and the structure of the language, be a good thing to read. I haven't really delved into those too much. Honestly, Lon Milo's book by itself is sufficient enough. It's probably all I'm going to put in for this video. I just wanted to show you what the table actually looks like uncovered and all the different pieces individually. Any questions, of course, go ahead and comment below, and I will do my best to answer them, possibly in a subsequent video, but I will definitely respond to you in text. Take care.